All right, let's jump right in. At the very heart of maintaining control, whether you're in a high-stakes meeting or just dealing with a stressful situation, is one powerful principle: mastering dualities. In this explainer, we are going to unpack how balancing opposing forces is really the key to protecting your peace.
And before we get started, I just want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, The Other Way Marshall Consulting. This explainer is possible because of their support.
So that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? In a world that feels like it's just full of conflict, how do you actually protect your own inner peace? Well, the answer isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about learning how to navigate it without getting thrown off your center.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off by exploring the power of opposites. Then we'll nail down the core principle we're working with. After that, we'll see it in action with some real-world examples, shift our perspective a bit, and finally, wrap it all up by focusing on how to master your own center.
Okay, first up, the power of opposites. You see, real strength isn't about being totally rigid and unmovable or completely flexible and yielding. No, it's something much, much more interesting than that.
This puts it perfectly. Think about it. If you're all structure, all resistance, you become brittle. You're just easy to shatter when real pressure comes along. But if you swing to the other extreme and you're all fluidity, always giving way, you become hollow. You don't really offer any protection. The secret isn't picking a side, it's blending them together.
So if being one-sided is the trap, what's the way out? Let's define the core principle that actually brings these two opposites into harmony. And here it is, the unity of opposites. This is all about the dynamic balance between that passive or yielding energy and the resistant or structured energy. And this is the part you really got to get. True power isn't in one or the other. It's found in their integration.
When you stop and think about it, this is so fundamentally true, isn't it? The source material says it beautifully. Nothing has value without its opposite. We only get what dry means because we've experienced wet. We appreciate the light because we've been in the dark. This isn't just some abstract philosophy, it's a very practical map for navigating life.
Okay, theory is great, but let's make this real. How does this actually work as a tool out in the world? This next part is all about putting this principle into practice.
Okay, picture this. Someone's shouting at you. They're bringing that aggressive fire energy. Now, the instinct is to meet fire with fire, right? To shout back. But using this principle, you introduce the opposite, water. You meet their fire with calm silence, with a relaxed posture. What happens is you create this kind of energy vacuum. Their aggression has nothing to push against, and it just fizzles out.
Or let's take it to the boardroom. A meeting is totally deadlocked. You have two people dug into their rigid, opposing positions. The whole structure is brittle. So what do? You introduce fluidity. Not by agreeing with one side, but with genuine curiosity. You just ask the question, hey, what if we're both wrong here? That question introduces the opposite of certainty, and it immediately softens the whole room, opening up a new path.
And here's where you can see it physically. It's brilliant. Imagine an opponent focuses all their energy on a high attack, like a punch. Well, what have they ignored? Their base, right? Their legs are vulnerable. So by applying pressure low to the opposite part of their body, you're essentially using their own focused energy to dissolve their structure. You're completing the circle that they left wide open.
The seesaw metaphor is just such a perfect way to picture this. If you're out on the ends of the seesaw, reacting with huge swings of anger or fear, you are so easy to throw off balance. But if you can learn to stand at the center, right on that pivot point, you stay stable. The outside world can push and pull all at once, but you remain unshaken. That is mastery, occupying that steady center.
Now, to actually use this principle all the time, it really does take a pretty deep mental shift. It's about fundamentally changing how you look at conflict itself.
This right here, this is the whole game. Once you can stop seeing a conflict as me versus them and start seeing it as just a single system of energy, everything changes. You're no longer the victim of that energy's momentum. You suddenly become the one who can actually direct it. Look, making that kind of shift second nature, that takes real practice. And for anyone who wants to go deeper and really learn how to apply this perspective, our sponsor, The Other Way Marshall Consulting, has the perfect next step with its Mentorship Program.
It's really designed to give you both the theory and the hands-on practice. It's 10 weeks of live, virtual training in an interactive Zoom-style class to really build that foundation.
And then it's followed up by two-hour hands-on practice sessions where you get to learn how to apply these personal safety principles in a physical, real-world way. You can find the link for the mentorship program right in the description below. And hey, if you're getting something out of this explainer, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe leave a comment. It honestly helps the channel out more than you can imagine. All right, let's bring it all home to the ultimate goal here, mastering your center. This is about living this principle so that you become the director of the energy, not just a reactor to it.
I love this metaphor. You see a duck on a pond, right? And above the surface, it's all calm, effortless, totally tranquil. But what's happening just below the surface? Its feet are paddling away with this intense, purposeful movement. That's the essence of mastery. It's maintaining that outward calm through focused, powerful internal action.
And what's amazing is, this isn't some new idea. The philosopher Heraclitus was saying this thousands of years ago. Things that look like they're in opposition are actually working together. The most beautiful harmony comes from things that are different. This is a timeless truth about the natural order of things.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. What opposite energy do you need to embrace to find your center? Are you maybe a little too rigid and need to practice fluidity? Or are you maybe too yielding and need to develop a bit more structure? The answer to that question, that's your path forward.
On behalf of our sponsor, The Other Way Marshall Consulting, and from me, thank you so much for joining us today.